Welcome to a special U Radio podcast. The 25th Gimli International Film Festival is here, celebrating incredible films from Manitoba and around the world. David Knipe, lead programmer of Fiction Features, gives us the inside scoop of what's playing at GIFF 2025.
My name is David Knipe, and this year I am the lead programmer at the Gimli International Film Festival. It's, I believe it's my 8th or 9th year returning in some capacity to the festival. I started out in 2015 as a volunteer and kind of rose through the ranks through logistics and programming pretty early on. And I've been the senior film programmer for many years. I took a couple years off as I was living in Toronto recently, but I'm back and they asked me to come back as lead programmer, and it's an honor to be back for this 25th year.
You've been involved over several different years in varied capacities. What is it that first attracted you to want to be, I want to invest my time and energy into this? Because putting on a festival of this, scale, it's not easy.
No, not easy. You have to be a little crazy. Maybe a sucker for punishment at times. But, it started for me in 2015, as I said. I volunteered. I was coming fresh out of graduating from film school with a cinema studies degree, thinking I was going to go and do my master's and move into academia and start teaching film. Decided to, use my summer by getting involved in the local film community a little bit more, and took a chance, not knowing anybody, went out to Gimli, volunteered, and just happened to kind of get swept up in the action, the energy, and the excitement of it, and especially the community out in Gimli. The staff that year were just so welcoming and so embracing of me and everyone else that was there on the ground for the festival. The audiences were just so enthusiastic about what they were seeing, and their sense of discovery and curiosity about the films was incredible. The volunteers, were really the life's blood of the festival that I saw, and I got to work so closely with them that year. So that really kind of ignited a passion in me early on, and working on the behind the scenes logistics side of things that first year really gave me a taste for, the behind-the-scenes production elements, which I really loved. The kind of chaos of putting together an event, as you said, it can be difficult at times, but you get such a rush from it as well.
Well, it's those moments, right?
It is.
Going back there, you get to see the nuts and bolts, and then you actually get to, when you're hands-on, it becomes even realer.
Yeah, you're creating something, right? And you're creating something together with a group of similarly passionate people, and that's what really drove me and continues to drive me too. That feeling collaboration, is so important, and it's something that we embody so much at the festival.
So when it comes to a film festival, obviously an important aspect of that is the films and programming. What were some things you were thinking about when looking at, because you probably get so many different film submissions from all over the world trying to
thousands.
Yeah, let's start there. How do you start going through that massive catalog?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, some of that work is done ahead of time, right? Because the festival was born out of a very specific programming mandate or theme, right? It started as an offshoot of the Icelandic Fest 25 years ago. So we were showing primarily Icelandic films. That grew pretty quickly in the first few years to showcasing some of the best contemporary Canadian films, independent Canadian fiction features and documentaries and short films, but still keeping that Icelandic backbone throughout these 25 years. So that gives us a really solid basis for our programming and a jumping off point to kind of reach out and explore other areas of discovery in our program. And since then, we've really invested in the local film community, showcasing Manitoba filmmakers, shorts and features, documentaries, really trying to help develop the local industry here through showcasing them and giving them an opportunity to show their films together with other filmmakers and audiences. And also the Indigenous filmmaking community here is something that we've really...
Oh yeah, the Indigenous Film Collective, there's shorts that they take part every year. They're always so exciting. They're always so enticing. And The amount of diversity in how they approach films is so fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a unique lens on filmmaking. The way that they use film language and the way they understand film, especially through the WIFC shorts that we've seen over the last several years, is just so unique and really exciting and kind of groundbreaking. And you tie it back to that sense of community, right? And we see that in spades there.
So when you're watching and looking through these films, there's international films, Canadian films, and of course, those local Manitoba films as well. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at the Manitoba films, what are some things that you notice that stand out compared to like other Canadian films or particularly international films that you're like, wow, this is Manitoban?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a uniquely independent sensibility, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of following on what I was saying with the WIFC shorts, it's a different lens of seeing the world and understanding film and using film language and grammar to communicate ideas. There was a really great article in CBC spotlighting some Manitoba filmmakers, Matthew Rankin, who were spotlighting at the festival, Ryan Steele, Rain Vermette, who also have films in the festival. And they talk a lot about that kind of anti-mainstream, anti-authoritarian bent here in Manitoba filmmaking. And you see that stretching all the way back to our origins, the National Film Board films and of course the Winnipeg Film Group's early days. And we see that right up until today. We're so divorced from the Toronto and the Vancouver heavy industry scenes of filmmaking.
Well, Teya and I were just, talking last time about the authenticity and kind of that community and comfort that GIFF allows, that some of these larger festivals where you go, that they can feel a little bit intimidating.
Totally.
Where this is, you can go out, there's less pressure, and there's so many moments and opportunities to actually connect with the filmmakers and creators.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's a freedom both on the side of making the films from the filmmakers that they experience, and then there's a freedom in showing it and being able to maybe take some chances with your film and how you're presenting it and how you made it. And with these audiences, because they are so receptive and they're, it's a bit more, and I don't mean this disparagingly, but like to the ground and democratized, right? Like there's not a huge division between audience and filmmaker and festival and audience, like there would be in those larger centers.
Programming. Mm-hmm. What are we looking at for this year? What are you hoping audiences get excited for? Because there's such a wide variety.
Totally, yeah. I mean, we've really got it all, right? We have everything for any kind of film lover, casual or committed. Our Manitoba spotlight is very strong this year with feature films, Aberdeen and Universal Language, of course, Matthew Rankin's award-winning kind of revolutionary film that's been making waves around the world. We have Guy Madden, Evan and Galen Johnson's Rumors, which has done really well this year as well. Noam Gonic's Parade, which just did well.
Oh yeah, I had the opportunity to watch. So good to kind of look at that history and perspective.
Absolutely.
And then, people have the opportunity to connect with them. But when I chatted with them, one of the powerful elements is that the people they talk to in this film, it's people they know. It's people in the community, people they've interacted with in their life.
Absolutely. And again, we talk about that kind of like on the ground connection, right? That relatability it's in there in that film, right? Another film that I really love is called Agatha's Almanac, which spotlights 90-something-year-old lady Agatha living in Manitoba, rural Manitoba, kind of living out a very quiet, simple existence, close to the earth, cataloging seeds and canning. And the film has such a sensitive, beautiful, creative treatment to it. The cinematography is gorgeous, shot on film. It's very organic. I love that film, and it's our opening night film on Wednesday.
Right, and it's probably very powerful. Like how many people talk about now of, I want to start a little homestead. I want to have some plants, a garden.
Return to land, back to nature.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a case study for sure. And then outside of the Manitoba stuff, we have so much more. Obviously, the 48 Film Festival, Manitoba Short Films and Competition, Young Filmmakers Shorts Showcase. I really wanted to spotlight some of our thematic curated shorts programs by our shorts programmer, Emily Gagne. She's put together 4 truly wild, fun, and thought-provoking, engaging shorts programs along different themes. Some of the themes include masculinity and sensitivity in men, called Boys Do Cry. Which is just so smart and funny. She's also got a program called Let's Make It Weird, which showcases, some left field, offbeat films, including one about a POV of a piñata, a day in the life of a piñata,
Nice.
and a woman who's obsessed with buying lamps. Down to Earth, which showcases queer and genderqueer folks reconnecting with their bodies and the earth. Very beautiful stuff. So Emily's done a really great job of putting together 4 incredible shorts programs for our audiences this year.
Well, I think that's such a fun aspect of what film festivals can do that you might not necessarily get from your traditional streaming/theater experience, these avant-garde, these weird films. Like, how often do you have the opportunity to watch a short about a piñata's POV?
Right? Not very, I hope. It's going to be a first for many in our audience. It was a first for us, certainly. And that's the beauty of the festival and a smaller festival like us, right? Like you say, we're kind of collecting so much from around the world and sifting it through for our audience, through our programmer sensibilities and through the festival's tastes, to really bring a really diverse and unusual cataloging of the best films that have been made in the past year. And it's stuff, like you say, that you're not going to find on streaming. You're not going to see in a theater. It may not be ever seen again after this. A lot of these films are kind of one and done. They do a bit of a festival round, and then that's it, unfortunately. So many films get made every year that just never find an audience. And so that's the biggest part of our job, is trying to connect these undiscovered gems to our audience.
So 25 years, it's a big milestone year. Did you find there was any challenging moments when looking through, like, yes, you have this lens and kind of funnel to help make that process a little bit easier. Did you find it was challenging this year to curating this experience that would, encompass the gravitas of what 25 years means?
Definitely, yeah. I think even just for myself personally as the lead programmer, I was struggling at that balance of, how much are we wanting to look backwards at our history and celebrate that, but how much do we want to make sure that we're still moving forward, right? And keeping an eye on the future and what's to come. What's the next phase? What are the next 25 years for the Gimli Film Festival look like? So I think we've done a really good job of finding that balance, and not straying too far away from our core identity and what we've done so well for 25 years, but also continuing to double down and invest in, the gains and the progress that we've made over the last several years, I would say, and really expanding our program and our reach, taking on the international portion in our moniker and really living up to that, and continuing to spread GIFF's influence across Canada and hopefully around the world, and connecting our audiences here in Manitoba with those films from around the world.
When we're looking at just some of the films that are on showcase this year, you've been involved in several, in different capacities over the years. What are some things that you've noticed in terms of theming, stories, perspectives that are in focus this year versus prior years?
Totally. Well, I mean, the world is rapidly changing, right? So
that's putting it lightly.
Yeah, right. So we're certainly mindful of that. We talk about it a lot. We all feel it very intensely. But how do you make sense of a chaotic, uncertain, scary world, right? And I think it all comes back to community, and celebrating the good things we have, the good things that we create together in community, in collaboration. And film is such a great example of that, and film is such a great way to engage with the broader world, politically, socially, but also can provide some relief, right, when things get dark and scary. So for us, our grounding theme this year was definitely coming together during difficult times. And that's what you're going to see at the festival. We're out in beautiful Lake Winnipeg in Gimli. Hopefully the weather is going to be gorgeous.
Hopefully the smoke isn't there.
Of course, but absolutely, that's one of these elements of our current world that we have to grapple with. And our hearts go out to all the folks up north who have lost their communities, lost their homes, have been displaced. We certainly welcome any of them to the festival who are displaced in Winnipeg and want to come out. But yeah, absolutely. We often turn to film and art for, I don't want to say escapism. I think that's a bit of a dirty word.
Yeah.
But, for some relief. And
relief,
positivity.
Understanding, making sense of the situation.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of films that aren't shying away from the difficult issues and topics of today. We have quite a few films that are looking at Palestine and what's happening in Gaza right now. An incredible humanitarian crisis over there. We're looking at the war in Ukraine through a bit of a different lens as well. So we really aren't shying away from engaging with the difficult subjects and the challenges of our world today. But we do want to provide balance, relief, and, an opportunity for people to maybe disengage a little bit during that week.
Yeah, kind of those moments of engaging in those conversations, but moments to also rest, reflect.
Absolutely. Step back a little bit, be together with people that you love, meet some new friends, make some new connections, especially for the filmmakers who are coming out to the festival. It's a great opportunity to network, further their careers, and learn from each other. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, then there's that interesting aspect, when we're talking about wildfires and the displacement of northern communities, potential connections, what that could lead to, stories and things that are being told in next year's festival.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, film has a way of responding pretty quickly to the events of the world and what's happening. So yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing quite a few filmmakers, documentary filmmakers here in Manitoba and around Canada making films currently on the wildfire situation. We've seen quite a few come out about the California wildfires of recent years. So film is always engaging with what's happening in the real world.
Of course, when you look at a stacked program list like this, you're going to want to say, yes, all of them are amazing. They're super exciting. For yourself, is there one set of programs that really stood out to you and resonated with yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, my hand this year in the program itself was primarily in the fiction features. That's my wheelhouse this year. So some sleeper picks that I would have from that selection would be a film called The Black Sea, co-directed by Derek Hardin and Crystal Moselle. And Crystal Moselle's previous film, Skate Kitchen, was set in New York amongst a group of non-professional female skaters, non-professional actors who were female skaters. And it's kind of a hybrid fiction documentary film about their life, a bit of a hangout film. And this one kind of really doubles down on those sensibilities here. It looks at a man who's from Brooklyn. He's a bit of street hustler, charismatic, finds himself on the wrong end of a Facebook catfishing scheme out in the Black Sea in Eastern Europe. And he's the only black man in a very small seaside town. But there, against all odds, stuck there without a passport, he manages to find community and find kind of fulfillment in his life. And he picks up a new life there and finds connection in an unlikely place. So that's one of my top picks from my end. I would also love to mention Janet Planet, which is a Canadian premiere, actually. It hasn't played either in festivals or in cinemas here in Canada yet. And it's an A24 production, A24 original production.
Oh, I love A24.
Yeah, so it's a great coup for us to get this film, and A24 has been so great. They've also supplied Stop Making Sense, which we're playing on the beach on Friday night. But Janet Planet is a period piece, this kind of really sensitive tone poem set in the early 90s in Massachusetts about a young girl coming of age, about 11 years old, really connected to her mother, but she sees that kind of tenuous grasp on her mother's orbit start to drop off as more people, more men enter her mother's life. But it's just so sensitively drawn. Writer-director Annie Baker as a playwright. So she's got a really great sense of dialogue and ensemble. It's a really beautiful film, so I would highlight that one as well.
Awesome. Well, the festival's coming up. It's super exciting. Where can people go to get tickets as well as find out more information about the amazing programs that are available this year.
Of course, you can find us on all the socials at Gimli Film, and our website is the main hub for information, www.gimlifilm.com. That's Gimli. If you're out in person in Gimli in the weeks leading up, or in the week leading up, I guess we're only a week out, you can head to the Lakeview Hotel in Tara's Corner, where our box office is located, and we've got staff there around the clock to answer any of your questions. And feel free to hit any of us up. If you're looking for personal programmer recommendations while you're out there at the festival, just ask around. If you see us walking around, make sure to stop us and get some recs. And of course, tell us what you've seen and what you've liked and what you didn't like. We love to get that feedback on the ground from our audiences.
Don't miss the Gimli International Film Festival, July 23rd to 27th. And be sure to check out Part 1 with Teya Zuzek on the heart and history of GIFF. I'm Ryan Funk with U Radio. See you next time.